couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks. But James, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Just working, slaving away.
Slaving away. So really, the only thing going on other than March Madness is NFL free agency. Sort of a big deal. I want to know off the top, right off the top. Let's go ahead and start. Who are some of your winners and losers of free agency?
So I think that there's two ways you can look at winners and losers. I think if you're looking from just a player perspective and talent brought onto the team, I think it'd be hard pressed to look past the Giants. But at the same time, I don't think they were winners in the sense that I think they signed at least 2 really inflated contracts, potentially 3. I think they overpaid.
So
Galladay.
I'm curious, who do you think you think they overpaid Galladay?
I think they overpaid Galladay, and I think they overpaid Adoree Jackson. I think
definitely. I'll say this with Adoree Jackson. That could be a bargain. Like, I've seen him play very well, and he had a down year last year. Some of that was because of injuries, I think.
Great athlete.
But I mean, if he plays like he was his first year or two, that could end up being a bargain for $13 million. Galladay, though, is interesting. When they signed him, my friend who's a Giants fan wanted to walk off a cliff. He was like, $18 million a year is way too much, and I was like, well, kinda, but really think about it. DeAndre Hopkins is arguably the best wide receiver in the game, and he gets paid $27 million a year right now.
Mm-hmm.
Galladay is above average and getting played almost $10 million less.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty fair.
I don't think you can look
like,
at it.
I'd never pay a free agent wide receiver that. I paid my own guy that who was about to be a free agent.
No, we've already discussed, too, how this is just what the market dictates now, and this is just how it is, so we need to stop getting surprised when they overpay every free agent.
Yeah, that is also free agency.
It is what it is. But, yeah, I mean, I was telling people up and down the Eagles were going to come in third place in this division because I kept saying, dude, the Giants still absolutely suck so bad. They don't anymore. The Eagles are in the basement now. I think the Giants have a chance to maybe even come in second in that division depending on how Dallas's defense looks and depending on how Dak comes back from this injury.
So, yeah, I like what you said about in terms of the talent you bring in and, and the Giants brought in some good players.
Yes, they did.
But is it really going to make a difference? I really don't think so. I think they are. Maybe they win the division, but are they a contender in the NFC? No.
I still don't think they win the division.
I don't either. But they were big spenders. If that's your thing, go ahead and say they're winners. It's hard to not call them winners. Like I said, they just brought in free agents. I'd give them like a B. I mean, we'll see how this all works together. But Kyle Rudolph, Kenny Galladay are, I wouldn't say world class, but good pass catchers that...
Rudolph, too.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep it right in the division as the team that I actually think won free agency, and it's the Washington football team.
Really? Because no one else likes what Washington did.
I do. I think they got way better. I think Curtis Samuel...
Yeah, I will. Okay, Curtis Samuel was a good signing. I will give you that.
And the cornerback they signed, is it J.C. Jackson? Or who? Somebody Jackson. I can't remember.
Let's see.
I
don't know. There's been so many moves. I haven't really been keeping track.
They signed a good corner, but you want to know the move that I absolutely like? I actually love is them signing Fitzpatrick. And I know people, Fitzpatrick is what he is, but if he goes in there and plays the way he played last year, they're going to win 10 or 11 games. I'm going to tell you right now.
No, they already had Kendall Fuller. What? William Jackson?
William
Jackson's a good player.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. So they improved their defense in their secondary, which is where they needed the most help, inarguably, even though they had a pretty good secondary to begin with. They added a speed receiver to go on the other side of Terry McLaurin, and they added a quarterback. I mean, granted, it's not a top 10 guy or anything, but Fitzpatrick will win you a lot of games.
I'll say this about Fitzpatrick. I would have tried to have gotten like Sam Darnold or try to be in the hunt for like Carson Wentz. Although I forget that they wouldn't have traded him in the division.
Yeah.
But one of those veterans who have younger veterans, I should say. But when you look at where they are in the draft order, sitting at 19, they're likely not going to get Trey Lance, who's considered like the third or fourth guy, depending on who you look at in this draft class. So your best option at 19 is probably Mac Jones. I'm not a big Mac Jones guy. I think he was carried by the receivers Alabama had. So in that instance, you'd have the Giants, who have been big spenders, improve their team. Dallas kept Dak, and I think is the front runner to win the division now. Philly could be good with Jalen Hurts. We really don't know. So if you're Washington, I really don't have a problem going out there getting a veteran who can keep you alive in your division race.
And I think that's exactly what it does. And I think I don't know. I really think they want like a Desean Watson or somebody. Obviously, I think maybe their best chance was going and getting Darnold. I think the Jets went a little too much for Darnold. I think Darnold's going to get traded on draft day, by the way. But I really like what the Skins did. I don't think they overpaid for anybody, but they got some really good players and improved. This is the thing. Fitzpatrick always plays on terrible teams with really, really bad defenses, so he ends up throwing a lot of picks because he has to play in shootouts. Has Fitzpatrick ever played on a team with a good defense where he didn't have to throw for 350 yards to win the game? Probably not. I mean, if you can go out there and play the way Case Keenum had to play for the 2017 Vikings or something like that, I think they're going to win 10 or 11 games.
Yeah, I would say the best defense he probably had was this past year with Miami. That was a pretty good unit.
Agreed, and he kicked ass.
Yeah.
He kicked ass last year.
One free agency signing that I think was vastly underrated, and I texted you, really two, that I think were vastly underrated, and I admit it, I liked them probably a little too much. One was Yannick Ngakoue to the Las Vegas Raiders, who great player, and I was like, man, I probably like that way more than I should. Like, I'm already penciling in the Raiders to make the playoffs, even though I know that's not going to happen. Then I had to step back. I was like, no. They just got rid of two good offensive linemen. I don't see that happening. So. But the other one was Carl Lawson, pretty good pass rusher, going to the Jets, who need it. Some pretty underrated moves. My biggest winner, has to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is the other way you can look at free agency. Do you keep your own guys?
I was just going to say, do you count keeping your own players?
There are so many people out there who don't value keeping your own players. And to have the choice between keeping my own guy and an outside hire, pretty much, I'm going to keep my own guy every time.
Yes, guaranteed.
Or at least I think you should. Unless, the other one's just better. You know what I mean? Just flat-out better player.
Yes, sir. I agree.
And Tampa, I was shocked they were able to keep just about everyone. They still have some guys left to bring back, but they're sitting pretty good right now.
Speaking of bringing guys back, I love the Niners bringing back Trent Williams as well. I think that's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, that was big. That's maybe top 5 left tackle. I don't know if he's that high, but really good left tackle.
I think he still is, but they're going to they're going to trade Garoppolo and some picks to get Trey Lance. That's my pick right now. I'm calling it. They're moving up the third.
You really think so? I don't think Shanahan wants a rookie quarterback.
He's not getting Watson though.
True. Well, we can talk about that later with the whole Desean Watson news.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of what else. I don't really know. Losers, I don't count the Cardinals as a loser.
No.
But they made a lot of moves where I'm just like, is J.J. Watt really going to make an impact? Is A.J. Green really going to make an impact? Rodney Hudson, I think, can still play. If this was 2015, Arizona Cardinals would be a great winner in free agency.
I think A.J. Green playing opposite of D-Hop, and I don't know if Larry Fitz is coming back, but I actually think that him going up against somebody's number 2 cornerback could actually be way better than we're giving it credit for right now.
I mean, it could be also with A.J. Green. I mean, I think of Justin Verlander in baseball. Justin Verlander was the best pitcher in baseball, and A.J. Green was one of the best receivers in the game for years. And same with Verlander. Then all of a sudden he got paid. He, got engaged to Kate Upton, started dating Kate Upton. Detroit went in massive rebuild mode and just started sucking, and his numbers dipped. I remember talking to my dad, and my dad was like, but this was when after he got traded to Houston and started balling out again, and they won that World Series even though they cheated. He said, can you blame him? He's engaged to Kate Upton. They suck. Why would he try hard? And that's how I think of A.J. Green right now.
I mean, you got to think, it really does take a special individual to go out there when you've won multiple Cy Youngs. Hasn't Verlander won an MVP before?
Maybe, probably.
League MVP, and you've made. I think he's had multiple $100 million+ It's like, how do you still get excited to go to work every day, man?
Yeah.
What's left? And then he won that World Series with you. It's just, is he still talented? Yeah, but it's like, do you have what it dude, being a pro athlete, it's not like I'm a pro athlete, but I'm sure, dude, like, I work hard doing what I do, and these guys have to go just
That's why it's honestly so surprising Tampa has been able to retain all these guys, because a lot of them will just take money.
Why do you think that is, Shane?
Yeah, I know. I'm not denying that. But most of the time, they ring chase, and then they get money, and then they just, okay, I got my ring, I'm going to go make my money.
That's what happens to all that, dude. That's what happens to all those teams. That's why what the Patriots did was so freaking impressive, because it's just there's going to be turnover. Those players that won Super Bowls are going to want to go somewhere else and get their long-term contracts. I mean, and it's the Bucs too. It's not like it's some blue blood franchise. I mean, them actually keeping all that talent is beyond impressive. It really is.
Yep. I saw. So, I want to know your thoughts. You still haven't really told me about Green Bay. We got to talk about it. Green Bay bringing back Aaron Jones. You haven't really given me your opinion.
So I was listening to John Middlecoff the other day. By the way,
oh yeah, this is the guy you recommended to me.
Yes, 3 and Out podcast. He's fucking awesome. He was saying, somebody asked, at the end of his thing, he does the Middlecoff mailbag where he just answers questions from people that DM him on Instagram and stuff. And one of them was a Packers fan and said, like, why the hell did we overpay Aaron Jones when we drafted A.J. Dillon? And he said 2 things that I have to say to that. He's like, one, they didn't pay Aaron Jones.
No, they didn't.
It's basically a 2-year, $13 million per
contract.
So, like, once I heard that, I was like, okay. And he said the second thing, he's like, the Packers are known for taking the player that's on their board, and they don't care what position it is.
Yes.
They said A.J. Dillon was the player on their board, and they snubbed to their board, so that's who they took. So that's that. So that's basically he basically convinced me otherwise, to be honest with you.
Really? You weren't crazy about it?
Well, just the way you always look at NFL contracts aren't like other leagues' contracts where it's like it is what they say on the thing.
Yeah.
Usually the NFL contracts are a few years short. There's a couple dummy years. There's some extra fluffed money in there. It's really what their guaranteed money is. And when you look at what the contract actually was, it really wasn't that bad. Plus, you look at it like this, and he said even a third point to why that was a bad, point. He's like, dude, A.J. Dillon is not catching balls out of the back.
Exactly. I've told people that.
He's going to be their third, he's going to be the third down back.
And I even have my Aaron Jones shirt on to celebrate on our podcast today. Look, I love Aaron Jones. He took a discount. He signed with Drew Rosenhaus. I thought he was gone. I mean, that's one of the top sports agents on the market. I thought he was going to go get him paid. He elected to come back to Green Bay at a cheaper rate because he wanted to stay with the team that drafted him. I love Aaron Jones. I love it. Number 2, this is why we always say don't pay a running back. There are some exceptions. Christian McCaffrey is one of them, and I honestly do think Aaron Jones is another because they're so valuable also in the passing game.
Like Kamara.
Yeah, exactly. Alvin Kamara, too. Like, they are so valuable in the passing game. And then now you have A.J. Dillon. You can have them both in the backfield, and the defense doesn't know who's getting the ball, so they got to be on their heels. 2, you can line Aaron Jones up out wide because someone's got to account for him. Take a dude out of the box, and you can throw it his way, or you can hand it off to A.J. Dillon and get 5 yards.
It does give them a lot more flexibility as far as how they play offense. And, I think, listen, man, I mean, there's just players that you want to play with, and I'm sure Aaron Jones said, listen, dude, am I really going to leave and go make an extra $4 million a year and play with somebody like fucking Andy Dalton in Chicago or something like that, or am I going to stay here and play with Aaron Rodgers? And he decided to stay. And I respect it. Like I said, Middlecoff changed my mind on it, and once he laid it out like that, it made a lot more sense. And NFL contracts are just so confusing. That's why
the number was 48/4, and I'm thinking, holy crap. Because at first, I can't do math. I thought, oh my gosh, that's Christian McCaffrey money. That's way too much. Then I actually looked, and it said, oh, it's $12 million a year. Okay, that's not that bad. Then it came out that $10 million of it is incentives, which doesn't count to the cap this year. It counts to the following year's cap. So I was like, oh, so it's really 38/4, only a handful of money guaranteed. We could dump him in 2 years if he doesn't perform anymore.
And by the way, I love incentive-based contracts for my team or teams that I love because it's like, dude, if you're performing and hitting your incentives, I have absolutely no problem throwing extra money at you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
No problem.
Another one, they brought back Kevin King. And look, we've said on this podcast, Kevin King can be above average. He had a down year.
Quarterbacks have bad years.
Yes.
They do. exactly.
Now,
So
with that being said, I mean, we could have won the NFC Championship with someone better than Kevin King. And so when Green Bay re-signed him, Green Bay fanhood melted down that we're bringing this dude back. How can we bring this dude back? Blah, 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 blah. Look, he can still be above average. He is an above average number 2 corner.
Yeah.
Secondly, the number was $6 million. How can you pay $6 million to Kevin King? I guarantee you when the details of this contract come out, it's going to be full of incentives. His cap number is probably going to be $3 million at the most, maybe 4.
I also believe he's getting unfairly criticized because they're going to throw at him so much more often because Alexander's on the other side. He's arguably the best man coverage quarterback in the game now, and they don't want to throw his way.
I saw something about he only gave up 30 yards to. I don't know. I will have to look it up. It was something about he only gave up 30 yards a game 3 times last year. I don't know, something crazy like that. Jair Alexander. But you're right. They're going to target him. And when you play like Green Bay does, which is kind of a zone, sit back, keep it in front of you. At least it was under Pettin. It's going to be dink and dunk. Yeah, they're going to get catches on you all day long if you're Kevin King. So I really don't have a problem with it. And this was another point I saw other Packers fans making who have brains say was, does this mean they're not going to draft a corner? No, I still think they're going to take a corner first, second round, maybe third. I would much rather have a 4th-year player in Kevin King and a talented rookie potentially compete for that starting spot than just a rookie. You know what I mean?
And that's a position you really want depth at.
Exactly.
As well. So it's not a bad signing. It's really not.
Then this has been the new thing, though, is to criticize Green Bay because of how they handled last offseason. Today, they brought back Mercedes Lewis. Is Mercedes Lewis a great player receiving-wise? No. But do you know what Green Bay uses him for, James?
What?
He's a 6th offensive lineman. He's 6'7", 260. He's a 6th offensive lineman. So this guy, very first tweet after Schefter's was, what the hell are the Packers doing? They already have Tunyon. And the guy, I'm just like, this ain't Madden, man. This ain't Madden. And he said, then the guy said the same thing next to him, like, this ain't Madden, dude. And he said, like, what do I know? I just go by the box score. I was like, that's your problem. You go by the box score. That's your problem.
They don't know football, Shane.
He look, I love Mercedes Lewis, but he's a 6th offensive lineman. You know how valuable a 6th offensive lineman is? That you can put out there? Who can also catch passes?
I was just about to say, he could still be valuable in the red zone, too.
He's 6'7", like 270.
I bet he has 4 or 5 touchdowns next year.
He had 3 this year. I don't know if it'll be that many, but he was up there. Back to the Aaron Jones thing. There have been so many people who I have respected as draft analysts say, what the heck are the Packers doing paying Aaron Jones while they drafted A.J. Dillon? Like, come on, man. You got to be smarter than that. You have to, I've respected people. You have to know how valuable it is to have 2 running backs with 2 different rushing styles. One is shifty and averages 5.5 yards per carry because he can create something out of nothing every time. The other can get you a yard almost any time you want.
That's so valuable.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Like, you already have A.J. Dillon. Well, A.J. Dillon is going to be what Jamal Williams was, who we lost. Jamal Williams was good. He, 400 rushing yards. That's good for a number 2. And that's what A.J. Dillon's going to be. Anyway, my rant's over. We can move on. What do you think about Joe Flacco? I'm genuinely curious.
I don't mind him as a backup. Listen, he has playoff experience. He has a Super Bowl ring. It'd be nice to, have a nice veteran behind, Jalen Hurts to just show him.
That's what it is.
So,
if Jalen Hurts goes out there and sucks, Joe Flacco's going in there.
I'm completely indifferent. Nah, I disagree. But I'm completely indifferent about it. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It is what it is. There's definitely some pros to it. I think the cons are that he's just absolutely fucking shot.
He's been in the league for 13 seasons. He has value. There's value in that.
Absolutely.
So let's get off the subject of free agency for a bit. Let's talk about this Desean Watson news, which is all of these. I want to make sure I get the words right, but a lot of women coming out against him. Is it sexual assault?
Yeah, sexual assault.
how many lawsuits? Is it 12 now? It's like 24 women, 12 lawsuits.
I think it's 14 lawsuits.
Is it now? My friend has done more research on this. He has, like, it's such a weird case right now because he said that this lawyer in Houston is apparently like some sleazy scumbag kind of lawyer. But then at the same time, 24 women's a lot. Like, this is getting to Bill Cosby.
Bro, I said the exact same thing. At first, it was like 2 or 3 women, and I'm like, listen, man, even one, and I never like to tell, listen, and I'm not, I'm not like that, but I never like to tell a woman that she's lying about something like that. And
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you right now, man, when you get up into 20, they're not all making that up. Like,
it's not that I don't think they're making it up. I just find it hard to believe they're not at that point.
Exactly. Dude, at first, I was totally on Watson's
Yes.
side. I'm like, he seems like a stand-up guy, like, could just be some woman trying to get paid.
Yep.
Blah, 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 blah. But it's like, dude,
By the way, we've seen happen countless of times against these athletes.
Exactly. But how many times has it been 24 women?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm still in the obviously innocent until proven guilty. I don't
Yes.
think he's going to get. I don't think it's going to get proved. He's not going to be guilty because they're not going to be able to prove it. But at the end of the day, I'm in the camp now of there is some validity to some of these claims. There almost has to be.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. But I'm not going to crucify the guy because innocent until proven guilty.
That's why, like I say, it's so hard to believe because I can't believe 20 people are in on a coup. You know what I mean?
And I've seen
to take down like one NFL quarterback, it just doesn't make a ton of sense.
Exactly. Why doesn't this happen? Why doesn't everyone else have 24 allegations?
Yeah.
But I've seen so many people, and I know you've seen it too because it's been everywhere, saying that the Texans are the masterminds of this.
Look, I've been thinking about that. What if they are?
Bro, that is the fucking stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Look, so this is why, like, let's pretend that this is true. And the Texans have known about it for a long time. Desean Watson now wants out of Houston. They leak this story saying, basically, it could go several different directions. One is these allegations end up being false, in which case, like, they get credit for staying by their guy. Maybe Desean Watson, stays in Houston because they stood by him, or their allegations are true, and they can cut him and probably don't have to deal with it, like, don't have to pay him because of the morality clause. Then the national media, instead of trading him and you get criticized for it, you get rid of him for nothing, and the national media's like, you had to get rid of him,
I see that there would obviously be benefits to. I mean, listen, but like, I think there's way more negatives to the Texans doing this than positives. I mean,
I agree. Like, if Desean Watson found out that you had leaked that, you know what I mean?
I mean, dude, they would make McNair sell the team. I mean, that would be probably one of the biggest scandals in NFL history. I don't see it, man. I do not.
If that is true that Houston has masterminded this, especially if it ends up being false, I would say get rid of the team, move them somewhere else. That Houston doesn't like. I don't want the Texans around anymore.
Yeah. Move them to. I've been thinking, what is the next NFL city? I mean, what's left?
It's so weird. Probably Portland. St. Louis, San Diego. Give them a team back.
I guess. St. Louis, I guess. Yeah, St. Louis makes sense, but that's fucking.
I've thought about that. Like, I do this all the time. I think, like, if the NFL were to expand, where would they go? Because I'm not a Mexico guy. I'm not a Europe guy.
Maybe
if they go to international, go to Canada, like Toronto or something. But I like to keep it. It's an American sport. I want to keep it in America. And I think, like, Portland, St. Louis, San Diego, and then the fourth one's kind of up for grabs. I think I always go with
San Antonio. I think would be a good football city.
Maybe. I think I say Salt Lake City. Just give someone else, like, with Portland, you get someone to combat that Pacific Northwest, Because outside of that, Seattle owns it. Salt Lake City will give you 2 teams in the Rockies. Then you get San Diego and St. Louis back. It would just be interesting.
Yeah, true. Just curious what you thought. Because I knew Vegas was clearly the front runner, but then Vegas got their team.
Yeah.
So.
And Oakland's not getting another team, I don't think.
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if the A's moved. So what else can we talk about?
I think that's. I mean, free agency. We can talk about the draft, and I don't know what you want to say about the draft because the Packers are picking like fucking 30th, but
29th.
I'm going to tell you right now, I need Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase on my team.
I don't know if Pitts is going to be there. He ran like a 4.4 40 at his combine, or not combine, pro day.
I agree with you. But I'm going to tell you right now, and this is my promise to you, there will be 4 quarterbacks taken in the first 5 picks.
No, unless they're traded up. I don't think so.
I promise you. Oh yeah, no, it's going to be trade ups.
Okay,
that's going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now. Might be the first 4 picks. First time it'll ever happen. Might be the first 4 picks. It's going to happen. I play around with mock drafts, and I always have them. The top 4 are gone usually by about pick 8. I've been more in the first 9 picks. I think Denver has that 9th pick. Well, I mean, you have to think. Denver would theoretically want to trade up. The Panthers would theoretically want to trade up. The Niners would theoretically want to trade up. I mean, there's.
And then you got Washington and Chicago who could get up there.
So my hope, or the Patriots. I mean, there's a lot of teams that would technically want that spot. But what I'm hoping is and then basically I think that there's going to be those 2 left, and I think that Philly's going to have their. I think one of them is going to be gone, and Philly's going to be able to get the other. That's where I'm at right now.
Who? Chase and Pitts?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Pitts could fall to 6. I think I've looked at Atlanta's, and Atlanta's in a weird spot. They either got to trade back or they got to take the best player available, and they really need help defensively, but there's not really a great defensive player to take at that point. No. So I think you got to go offense with that pick.
I think they're going to trade back to like the Panthers spot and get like maybe Patrick Surtain or somebody like that.
Yeah, probably. But I don't like predicting trades. But I think of them, and I think last time I checked, they only had 1 tight end on their roster right now. If that stays and they don't trade back, and Pitts is still on the board, I'd like to think that's where he would go. Just, it doesn't really fill a need, but he's there. I mean, he's sitting there at 4, and he's basically a receiver.
I mean, I personally think he's the next Travis Kelce. I'm taking him even if I have 2 tight ends on my roster. I don't give a shit. He's going to be the best. He's probably the best player in the draft.
We got to get past him as a tight end. I know he's technically is a tight end, but he's really a receiver.
Well, I mean, he's actually fast enough to play.
I just said he ran a 4.4.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, like I thought he was going to run like a 4.6, maybe even like a 4.7, which he'd still be an absolute beast at that speed. I mean, that's still faster than most linebackers and stuff. But yeah, man, that boy's going to be a problem in the NFL. And then, I mean, personally, the Eagles probably need a player like Jamar Chase more. But I'm so fine with either of them. I'm not even wouldn't be too mad at Jalen Waddle. I think he has a lot of Odell Beckham in him, to be honest with you. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be mad at Penei Sewell either from Oregon. I would take any of them players.
I don't think he's the top offensive tackle anymore.
You think it's the one guy?
I think it's the dude from Northwestern, Rashawn Slater.
Yeah. Well, I think that he's probably a better tackle prospect, but he's not a better offense. Like apparently Slater can literally play all 5 positions.
Slater can play all the positions.
That's such a valuable
So
thing.
I was watching Cowherd yesterday, I think, and he did a mock draft with Daniel Jeremiah, and they just did the top 16 picks, but they got to Philadelphia, and somehow the top quarterbacks, except for Trevor Lawrence, were still available, but it was Cowherd's pick, and I forget who he ended up going with. I think it was Jalen Waddle for Philly, because Chase and Pitts were off the board, and he went with Waddle, and Daniel Jeremiah said, if Zach Wilson is there, I can't see Philly passing on him. I was like, oh boy, don't tell James that.
No, I mean, this is where I'm at. And I don't want Zach Wilson. But if Justin Fields falls to 6, which he won't, it's not happening. I wouldn't be mad at them taking Justin Fields. Once I saw Justin Fields runs a 4.4.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he's a big dude. Like he's 6'3", 230 too.
The only knock that people have on him right now is that he's like more of like a see and throw quarterback. But it's like in today's NFL, that's becoming more and more okay because he's going to be able to get in space and just hit an open guy. Listen, I don't want a quarterback. I really want to give Jalen Hurts an opportunity. As long as they don't trade up for it and one of those top guys falls to him, I'm not mad about it. But Mac Jones, Trey Lance, fuck out of here. I don't want Zach Wilson either.
I think Trey Lance has probably the highest ceiling outside of Trevor Lawrence in this class.
I don't disagree with you. I think that he think you.
I've said for a year I think he's going to get drafted before Justin Fields. He still might. I'm not sure though.
We'll see.
I mean, he balls out, man. And I know he played at North Dakota State. I don't believe in that. Look, I've said it before. Football's football.
I don't either. I don't believe in that shit either. Listen, if they're out there playing with no mechanics and they put up gaudy stats against D2, like, that's one thing, but it's like, dude, you play your schedule. And if you went out there and you kicked ass, you kicked ass. I mean, people are doing that to Zach Wilson right now, and it's like, so it's his fault they played a shitty schedule and he dominated the shitty schedule. It's one thing he went out there and barely got by.
No, football, like, if you're making the right reads, now, granted, where that comes in is if you're throwing into traffic against lesser competition constantly, the coaches are going to be like, dude, you can't make that throw right now. Yeah. You know, you can't make that throw in this league. Yeah, or at least not, at that. Wait until, I don't know. I'm not a quarterback, but you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean.
There was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember now. Shit, I don't remember. I'll think about it.
No problem.
All right, so I guess you're at home now?
Yeah, I'm out of here, brother.
All right, man. I will let you go. Not sure we'll be able to do this next week, but it's gonna get busy here real quick for me.
I was gonna say we need to have a draft show within the next couple of weeks, though.
It just depends. So for the listeners that are out there, all 10 of them, I have recently finally accepted a job in Texas, and I will be moving there at some point. The hope is it'll be mid-April.
Oh, yeah.
If that's the case, we'll definitely do a draft show when I get into my new place and get moved in. But if not, it'll just be here like normal.
I was gonna say, as long as we get it done before the draft, honestly, the closer to the draft, the better, probably. So.
Yeah, it's just gonna be going out of town next week to scout places in Texas. I don't know when I'm gonna move in. I'm gonna have my first day of work down there, and I don't know when I'm gonna move in. So, and then it's also on top of that, it's a 19-hour drive, and then I gotta unpack when I'm there.
Sheesh. 19 hours.
I'm driving from Washington with my parents I'll drive by myself, but yeah, Washington, Pennsylvania, all the way to Beaumont, Texas.
You better save
19
up some,
hours.
You better save up some podcasts, buddy.
Save up some podcasts?
Don't listen to podcasts for like 2
dude,
weeks
I've been listening to so much country music from old, like, Johnny Cash, like old school country music. Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, all that. I've been listening to George Strait. I've liked over 200 songs of George Strait.
George Strait is
Spotify.
the best country artist of all time to me.
Like, I'm through like 24 of his 31 albums that aren't greatest hits or Christmas music, Yeah. He has like 31. Dude, I'm through 24 of them. 200 songs.
Dude, listen to the past like 5 3 and Out podcasts. That's my.
I'm gonna. What's this dude? Is he on Spotify? I'm gonna like it right now.
Yeah, he is.
3 and Out podcast. Is it spelled out 3 or?
Yes. No, it's the number.
I almost said the letter 3.
Close enough.
John Middlecuff. All right, following the podcast. Okay.
All right, bro.
All right, man. I'll let you go.
Later.
Later.